Three chimes mean good times on
Red Shovel Network.
You're invited every Saturday over most of these
Red Shovel Network podcasts
to a one-hour concert by the renowned
RSN
Symphony. Tomorrow's symphony performance features Metropolitan Opera star
ML Elric
as guest soloist. For tomorrow's broadcast, the orchestra will be under the baton of the widely acclaimed conductor
Mark Fellhauer.
For the world's great music, hear the
RSN
Symphony, brought to you tomorrow and every Saturday.
You asked interrogative questions out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Yes, I'm always ready to go. I came ready. I remain ready. And like John Kerry, I'm reporting for duty. Anybody else?
Oh, that was a pretty up-to-date reference.
It was. I can't hear you, though. Is your volume up right? Or am I just getting old?
I'm just waiting for the Stevie Wonder John Kerry song.
I don't have it.
You don't?
I don't have it. Don't put me on the spot like that.
We need Kerry.
That's one of the ones we lost.
I thought a listener dug that up for the Drew and Mike show.
Okay, well, fine. I'll look it up. Maybe I just didn't want to look it up.
The moment's passed. It's off.
No. I'm going to find it now if I can find it.
Okay, well...
I can't believe he's talking about the moment being passed. The Mr. 20-minute story.
Well, Mark...
we don't have it.
Well, Mark desperately seeks to redeem himself. Let me introduce to Jan Windsor, our other contributor here. From...
Is that like the Jean in Philly?
From the Carlos,
Is that what you mean?
and Carlos and Sean podcast. You know, I just came up with this great nickname for Sean a couple weeks ago, and he immediately... invalidated it by coming out of the gates firing. I mean, he's all cranked up on Red Bull and rainwater and
crystal meth.
Oh,
I mean, I'm going back to the 80s a little bit.
I was
by
thinking
the way,
crystal method from the 90s.
I'm a little sore today, by the way. I did some yard work the other day, including weeding, and I bent over and I realized I don't have any hamstrings anymore. Is that
I should start counting the weird segues by Sean Windsor.
I mean, it's sad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got to wear the man's ear to keep it all up.
What do you mean you have
right
no
in front.
hamstrings anymore? You just can't stay crouched
The
down?
atrophy back there. Yeah, right. I was trying to get the weeds up, and it was pathetic.
Shouldn't you be paying someone? Don't you have two boys?
Yeah, one's gone, and the other one's, busy in school.
Oh, make him do it.
One moved out to Spartyland. Mike should be happy about that.
Was he home this weekend?
He was, but I was
he could've
gone,
done it.
so, I was
He should have done it.
somewhere, Chicago.
That's right. We'll get
Actually,
into that.
Yeah.
we need some
That'd be
weeds
later.
pulled at our East Lansing house, so if he's up there, he can redeem himself.
No, I have to remember how to bend over properly, and don't you say a word.
The visual enough is enough to leave me speechless. It's like staring into oblivion. Boy, and people didn't like my topic ideas. I'm glad we're talking about Sean's legs and dandelions.
Oh, we're done. We're done. Not so much a dandelion. It's more of the creeping kind of, what do you call it? Creeping, not Charlie.
Charlie?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's the other show.
Way to finish strong.
Yeah, this is like a Smith's lick. Is over before it ever began.
Everything's about a Smith.
It all comes back to Morrissey. Well, speaking of classics, I was at a birthday party on Sunday for Inez Knight.
Of course you were.
Yes, a wonderful centenarian. What's the...
Yeah, that sounds good.
100.
Sean, you went to college, was it?
She's 100.
She turned 100, yes. So anyways, she is celebrated her 100th birthday, and I was just coming from church where we stopped by Impact Church, where Pastor Keenan Knox gave an amazing sermon. And if you've ever been to a Baptist church before or an evangelical church before, there's a moment when the pastor will invite people to come up to the altar to either be prayed over or to be saved. And we were sitting there, and it was a very, very moving ceremony. And I had both of my daughters with me, and we're sitting there, and Pastor Knox says, if you'd like to come up to the altar. And sometimes people come up to the altar, and sometimes they don't. And because he's a funny guy as well as a very effective preacher, he says, I'm not going to be up here all day. And he almost started counting down. And I turned to my right, and all of a sudden, both of my daughters are gone. They're up at the altar. Somebody came up, and usually it takes one person to go up there and kind of break the ice. A gentleman came up from the pews to our left, came up to the altar. My daughters went up to the altar. A few other people came up there, and I was like, well, you know what? If you can't stand with your daughters, who are you? And the message of the day was to deal with things that you have been running from, or things that you're afraid are going to pop up in your life that may have been haunting you or troubling you.
Like Tuesdays.
And oh, jeez.
By the way, you're looking down. Did you sketch this out? Do you
No.
Do you not remember it?
This is quiet reflection. Plus, if I look over there, all I see you is half naked weeding with your
Did I say anything about half naked?
no belt look on there. And
No, I have to create my own holes in the belt to keep my pants up.
I do love that we totally ruined his flow.
Wow, I'm going to look down again because it's safer. My vivid imagination is
All right, so you're up there.
Way
Yeah.
up.
So anyway, the other message of the sermon was recalibrate. So this is a good time to recalibrate. So my daughters were up there, and I went up there, and it was a very powerful moment. And of course, when you go to church, there's a reason why they call them church clothes. So I was, if I do say so myself, looking pretty fly. And then we went home, but it was very hot, so we were doing some campaign stuff. So I switched into my campaign T-shirt and a pair of shorts, which is pretty much all I wear these days. And then we had to go to Inez's 100th birthday. So Inez...
All right, pause, because I don't know who she is. Can you tell me who she is?
I was going to set you up, but the gardener popped in there, Chauncey Gardner. So I met Inez when we were visiting a senior's home, apartment building, during the primary. And she's 99 years old, and she was being visited by one of her daughters, and we had a great conversation. And we visit senior centers. We meet with the seniors. We ask them, is there anything we can do for you? Here's a little bit about the campaign. What issues matter to you? Is it a matter of, the bus going by the senior apartment building doesn't stop in a safe place, doesn't come often enough? We deal with all these things. And then we'll go from apartment to apartment if people couldn't make the larger gathering and wanted to get together. So we knocked on Inez's door, and we were talking to her, and she was very charming. And I said to my campaign manager, I said, let's mark on the calendar when her 100th birthday is, and we'll do something for her 100th birthday. We'll come back to the senior apartment building. We'll bring a cake. We'll do some sort of gathering, some sort of celebration. And I thought this would be a fun thing for us to do. Well, fast forward, and, we talked to her, and we left her with some campaign literature, and we left, and we thought, wow, I think Inez is going to be, she's going to support
No, you had
us.
it right. Fast forward.
She was
She's
was
almost
very
101
charming.
by now.
And we had Inez. If these gentlemen
It has nothing to do with her.
so we put an alert in our calendar. It says Inez's 100th birthday is coming. Does this story have an end? So you may have caught her name if you weren't sitting there being a smart ass. Her last name is Knight. And you may know that Tucson Knight joined our campaign, who also ran for city council. And as we were talking about,
I'm going to go insane.
as we were talking about doing this celebration, Tucson says to me, "Hey, my great grandmother is having her birthday. Would you like to come and be a part of the program?" And I thought, wait a minute, is your great grandma Inez? And he said, yes. I said, we left her apartment thinking this woman is going to vote for us, and not once did she mention, oh, by the way, my great grandson.
Oh, maybe she didn't want to vote for him.
So I got up at her 100th birthday on Sunday, looking like a bum in my T-shirt because I switched over for the from the church and then didn't realize this was going to be a big to-do, and so I looked like a bum. And I told a story about this. Inez Knight is crafty. This is not a 100-year-old woman who's just sitting there fogging a mirror. She's working on multiple levels. She is very, very crafty. And here's a few things that Sean probably knew, because one of these movies was the inspiration for his Twitter handle. The movies that were popular in 1921 when she was born was Little Lord Fauntleroy.
Never heard of it.
Little Lord Fauntleroy 69. That's how you can follow Sean on Twitter. The Kid, Orphans of the Storm. The Three Musketeers, which could
starring Chris O'Donnell?
No, that could describe us.
Not.
Sean, obviously the dead ringer for Porthos, and Mark for Aramis, because that's the cologne he wears. And I would be whoever the really cool one was.
Mark wears high karate.
Okay. And then there was the Sheik. The NFL champions were the Chicago Staleys. The World Series champions with the New York Giants finally getting over on the Yankees. Jack Dempsey was a heavyweight champion, and the Stanley Cup was won by the Ottawa Senators over the Vancouver Millionaires. Sean, you were at that game.
So this was just all a setup to do Matt Jennings' soft history? Is that what's going on here? By the way, I do want to applaud the bit of foreshadowing there. When you first said, well, I need to get out of my fly suit and into my T-shirt, I was like, okay. Normally that would just be sort of an extraneous detail in an Elrickian story, but it actually turned out to have a point, and it mattered, and I'm very, very proud of you for that. We call that foreshadowing.
Thank you for being our human highlighter.
Yeah.
And for assuming that our listeners are not sophisticated enough to make that point on their own.
See, all I thought was,
wow, that had what I really like in a story, an ending.
It's a tough
room.
It's a tough room. Popular music at the time.
Just fight through it. That's brilliant. No, you should.
Popular music at the time describes how I feel every week when I'm on the show. All by Myself by Irving Berlin. And the Irish War of Independence had just ended. So that was...
Well, happy birthday to her.
Yeah, exactly.
This date in 19... So
what was that like being in church for the first time in your life?
So he does go to church.
This is heathen.
I do know it because we've talked about it off the air.
This is what several Catholic pastors are wondering. He's like, when's this guy going to come back to church? Like, you know what, dude? I'm in church every Sunday and sometimes for 3 hours at a pop. And for all the Catholics out there who say, boy, the homily's getting kind of long. It's got to be going in like 5 or 6 minutes or something like that. You have not been to church until you've been to church in Detroit.
Yeah. I agree.
The band, the elders,
the singing,
everything. I mean, it is, people sit there and who have never been and say, how can you go to church for 3 hours? I'm like, it is the fastest 3 hours you've ever spent.
Yeah, it's a spiritual.
It is an amazing thing, and I highly recommend that everybody do it. It goes by, in fact, those 3 hours go by faster than the Carlos and Sean podcast, which just seems to lumber on and on. And, hey, Carlos, I heard you wrote some mean stuff in the paper. No, Sean, I love everybody. I reckon that's not wrong. It's Dave Burkett here. Hey, guys, I only got 3 minutes. I only take long appearances on really high-quality podcasts like The Soul of Detroit, but what do you need? Because this bagel's just about to burn. Anyway, so Sean has a new podcast from the Freep Podcasting Network. If you heard it, congratulations. You and I have something in common and no one else does, which is unfortunate because it wasn't that bad. And we're joined after this brief commercial break by the guy who is nominally the producer, but soon to be a member of the Witness Protection Plan, Tad Davis, who really came on just to talk about some of my great work at the Free Press fighting corruption. But first, we want to talk about Roy O'Brien Ford, who makes this show possible because they are selling cars that you want, cars that you need, from work vehicles like the F-150 to cool vehicles like the Mach, the E-Mustang, which is, I rode in one a little while ago. That is a cool ride. And of course, they have everything in between. If you want to know more about Roy O'Brien Ford, go to royobrien.com. That's ROYOBRIEN.com. They're at the corner of 9 Mile Mac in St. Clair Shores, where they have been for 75 years, treating customers like kings. Check out Fast Track, which lets you choose your vehicle and options. You can pick your deal, lease, finance, or cash. Get the value of your trade-in, which are very high right now. So if you're thinking about getting rid of that old sled, this is a pretty good time to check it out. In fact, Susan Tompor of the Detroit Free Press, she has a lot in common with Sean at the Detroit Free Press. She's a columnist. She's a longtime employee. She's interesting, which is the one thing they don't have in common. But anyway, she said that vehicles with 100,000 miles or more are going for prices that you cannot believe. So go to Roy O'Brien Ford, check out a car. Maybe you want to buy it. Maybe you want to lease it. Maybe you want to trade in. They'll help you out. Go ROYOBRIEN.com to check them out online. Go in person or give them a phone call at 888-566-5851. That's 1-888-566-5851. If you're writing it down, you can replay that. And when you get there, make sure to tell them that ML's mother's son sent you because she bought a car there and she's real nice.
And since you mentioned finance, I thought now would be a good time to remind everybody that interest rates are pretty low for your house. So if your mortgage is, say, in the 3s, maybe you want to check with Hall Financials because they have rates that are reaching into the 2s. Be smart. Make the call because you could be saving money. Hall Financials, fast, and they do all the heavy lifting for you. It's very, very easy. Go on mlsolodetroit.com. You can find a link to get on over to Hall Financial, and then, they do things really fast. If it takes a while, it's on you because you didn't get the documents to them. But so check out Hall Financial, NMLS number 1467435. Set hut.
They move faster than Sean's son when Sean says, "Hey boys, it's time to weed." Like, I got to go to college, Dad. That's it. I'm out.
He did not bite on that.
That's 248-308-5000. Ask for Dan Morrison. Anyways, so Ted, what's it like? I imagine people in Guantanamo would have a similar answer, but what's it like to be locked in with Sean and Carlos Menares to produce a podcast?
Yeah, it's been a little weird. I mean, I should say, I should say first too about
I gotta tell you, it doesn't get better.
Yeah, about this show. It's nice to hear it for the first time. Like, I thought there was a rule where like you had to be over 40 to listen to it, so it's like good to hear it.
Your dad's a fan of this show, right? My
dad's a big fan. Yeah. So great show, and it feels that way similarly. Like, it feels like working with my dad and working with Sean and Carlos. 20. I'm a little younger, but it's been good so far.
Is your dad one of those guys who had kids at 90?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, anyways, enough about that show. Remember that great work you and I did on Gabe Leland when we got those FBI wiretaps and he was setting up bribes? That was pretty cool.
What were you going to say, Mark?
Remember that?
Oh, I was interested in Ted's background. I mean, or did someone from the Free Press?
Because you care about people.
Well, no, I'm intrigued.
That's nice of you.
Is the Free Press taking this serious, or do they just say, "Hey, who wants to produce a podcast?" Or do you have a background in doing it?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. Thanks for asking.
And thank you for acknowledging what a great question that is.
Okay, can the ass kissing stop and the news begin?
Oh yeah, ML hasn't talked for a while.
I want to get back to my stuff.
I have a public radio background. So, I've worked at WDT, which is Detroit's public radio station, Michigan Radio, Ann Arbor, U of M's public radio station. So and then I spent some time in New York working in New York Public Radio for a show called Radio Lab. So I've been around audio for a long time.
So you know what you're doing.
Know what I'm doing to an extent. And Free Press is definitely taking it seriously. So I've been on for a bit. Like ML said, I've worked with him on some radio stuff.
Let's talk about that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
He's got some podcast chops, I guess. And now we're moving over to sports. We have a weekly show that we're making, but the sports show is obviously one that Sean and I are super excited about, and it's been good so far. I think they're funny.
Are you super excited about it, Sean?
Very. Can you hear it in my voice?
Full disclosure, I have not listened to the first episode yet.
That's okay. I didn't expect you to.
I asked you to send me the test one that you guys did, and you never sent it.
You mean from a couple of months ago?
Yeah, it was hurt.
I thought I did send that to you.
You and I never got it.
I wish I had sent that to you. I didn't want to send you the first one. We need. How about the second or the third one?
Okay.
I listened to the first one. I thought it was good. Sean was uncharacteristically gregarious and engaged, and very complimentary of his partners. Unlike this heap of abuse that he puts on my back every week.
Really?
This mean Sean. It's like we invited Sean to be on the Soul of Detroit. We got Carlos Menares.
You've been insulting me.
And then Sean invites Carlos to be on his podcast, and he gets Sean Windsor.
So you've been insulting me for 20 years, and that's what you want to say?
I don't think it's insulting so much as
speaking the truth,
creating a public record. Yeah, that's right.
Carlos is a good choice, though. He's a very polarizing columnist and writer. I mean, you know that because I probably say something to you about his columns every week.
You do.
I'll agree with him. Sometimes I think it's a little bit of a reach, but does he like doing the podcast aspect?
I think he does. What do you think, Ted? I mean, he's the one that actually asked if he could join me in doing this, because I'd mentioned we were gonna start something up at the Freep. We were kind of figuring out what to do, and he said, I think I'd like to do that. And so I thought we were going to get the hot take Carlos, and we'll get there eventually as he comes out of his shell.
Is there a hot take Windsor? Because your takes are interesting to me, Sean, because you'll do a really strong take and then you kind of feel bad, I think, saying something bad about somebody.
You mean within the same column, or
you're very polite? No, just in general, how I know you. You're a very polite person, but you do have takes that can be those strong takes, but then you're too nice.
Well, I try to have a strong take in the column, and then maybe I'll just bring my hands afterwards, right? I don't want to do that in the column.
Let's try this. Who do you hate in the world of sports?
I don't really hate
you
anybody.
go.
That's the problem.
There you go. ML, who do you hate in the world of sports?
Are we going to go alphabetically or by jersey
Well,
number?
see, that's what I like. I mean,
Who do you hate?
Who do I hate?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Who did I get most mad?
Hate's a strong word.
Brian Kelly. I don't like him at all. Okay,
He's
hate
a-
fine.
he-
If you want to split hairs, hate's fine. I just have a strong dislike for Brian Kelly.
No, yeah, I did not enjoy it. Well, his comment over the weekend after
Well,
he's
no.
for the two people out there that listen to that
That
like
column is a
sports.
joke, though.
He's getting fried for basically making a historical reference that wasn't all that funny, but it you know,
He doesn't know his audience.
No, he rubs people the wrong way. Well, first of all, he's the coach of Notre Dame, right? So that there's that.
I thought his post game comments were fine. There was nothing wrong. He didn't need to apologize for
Why
it.
don't you like him? Because his face is too red.
I don't like him because whenever you ask him about a game, it's always what they did wrong as opposed to the other team maybe playing a lot better than he expected.
So that's the fan in you. You want
Yeah,
you
why
want
can't
some
I be a
credit
fan?
from the coach? You want
Only
to feel,
Notre Dame
you
can
want
beat
to feel,
Notre Dame.
You want to feel good about your own team, and you want that feel
yeah,
good
but that's
to
what's
come
great
from
about sports because
the
it doesn't,
opposing coach.
doesn't matter if I dislike him. No, it's a good healthy dislike. No,
How about Tom Izzo? Do you like him? Because he will eventually get to the other team and how they deserve credit.
I highly respect Tom Izzo. Is that a good enough answer?
Yeah, sure.
If he was my coach, I'd love him, but he's not.
Yeah.
I was excited by that Alan Heller hire in East Lansing.
Yeah, that'll be great for this podcast. Let's talk about
Who's
him.
that?
Sorry, let's go back to Carlos and Sean.
Oh, right. Hey, I'm still here.
So Tad,
Wait. Sorry.
Tad, who do you hate in
sorry,
sports?
Sorry. I have one quick question. Did you get recruited here or did you seek us out? And well, did you seek the Free Press out? I shouldn't say us because
that's a great question.
Yeah, because nobody leaves public radio.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
I
that's
actually
okay. He left a resume with me, so I don't know what does that mean?
And why didn't you thank him for acknowledging your great question?
Yeah,
No, I'm appreciating the questions.
Because it's losing its power. He keeps saying, "Oh, that's a great question"
True.
after every question.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, for sure.
you
You,
know.
guys have good questions.
Makes me think like my question wasn't that great.
You know, I didn't hear him once on the Carlos and
saying.
Sean podcast say, "Great question,
I
boys."
kept trying. Well, no, I actually want Tad to.
There may be a reason for that.
I want Tad to real quickly. I do want Tad to join in, and we're getting there. I've encouraged that a little bit. He's a little. It's not that he's shy. He comes from the NPR background, right? It's a little more formal.
It's good to have a young
Yeah,
voice around too.
for sure. A little bit
Exactly.
more formal.
That's exactly right. So he opens his mouth. You can hear he's 22.
Even though young people are wrong most of the time,
And we
it's
need
good to
that.
have a young voice around.
Well, I'm listening to you guys talk about sports. I really don't know sports that well, so it's crazy. I'm producing a
good.
podcast. I'm a soccer guy. Which
Are
I'm-
you?
And
All
yeah,
right.
so that's my
That
and
is a
who I hate
sport.
as an athlete. I'm not a Cristiano Ronaldo fan.
What?
Not a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. So that's my hate. Damn. Yes, I know. But
I'm not
there was a
happy.
few questions I got asked in terms of recruiting. I worked with Free Press. I started freelancing with them when I was working at public radio at Michigan Radio, and
We did some great investigative pieces together, Tad.
Yeah,
and I.
yeah.
Did I mention that earlier?
Oh, I think that's the second time, third time, maybe you said it.
Might be the third.
We'll
time.
get there.
Forgot you were still here.
Did you
Mel.
guide him, by the way, when you were doing that, or was that?
What would you say, Emma? What was the work? What was our work relationship like? What did you think of that?
There's a great question.
It was sort of like Lennon and McCartney if I was both of them. You kind of had a little Billy Preston going on, but a lot of people like Billy Preston,
So you're
especially
saying
on
he's Ringo?
Sgt. Pepper's.
Star?
George.
Yeah. No, it was great. I mean, it was one of these things where when you have someone who has that public radio background and just the audio storytelling, who understands the importance of music and mixing voiceovers or tracks with actual sound, you know, we were able to put together, I think, some pretty compelling narratives and using some material to tell stories in a different way. And there were a couple of things we did where we didn't have any sound, where I would just tell the story, which anybody who listens to this show knows that when I'm not being interrupted, I can drone on. And
an
Tad
easy
had
edit,
a
though.
way of breaking that up and turning it into a pretty cohesive and compelling narrative that when I listened to it, I just said, damn, I didn't know I sounded that good. But of course, it turns out I really do.
Well, I just like how handsome you are. That's me.
That's why they put me on
The
a
earring.
podcast.
Yeah,
so.
that's me. What's that?
It's so sad he wears those headphones. I mean, you got to show off the earring.
Well, this is an audio medium. I thought you would have known that being on NPR.
The earring does get in the way a little bit.
Maybe that's why they got rid of you. I don't know.
Are you always going to have the earring?
When I blow it in his ear, I don't like it personally.
So here's the thing.
That's something to grab onto. though.
People keep busting my agates because it's all about you. didn't bring up any of this. I just want to talk about some outstanding investigative work exposing corruption in Detroit City Council, which
Are
is
you
a very
always going to wear
relevant
the
topic.
earring?
You don't care about corruption in Detroit City Council?
Okay, that was great. So, what was it like doing an investigative series? Somebody stole $5, and you turned it into a 10-part series, and then he got to pat himself on the back for a while. What was that like, Tad?
It's interesting with ML. I mean, I will say, I don't want to give him too many compliments here. I feel like that's not the point of the show. But he has a way with words for sure, and
lots of them.
Yeah, and the way that he tells stories is obviously one that's intriguing, and you can see why he succeeded at the Free Press and many other places. So it was a lot of fun, and I should say he taught me a lot. I mean, we had some just phone calls where we would just. I mean, he gave me a lot of time where we'd sit there for an hour, and he would just be like, "Here's what you should do. You're 24, coming up in news. It's a weird time, and here's kind of how you adjust." So it was a great time working with ML. So it's great to be on the pod too.
Tad, please continue.
That's it.
So I want to know how you're gonna. So does anybody know the story of Ferdinand the Bull?
Yes.
Everybody knows the story, but this giant bull that some picadors or somebody saw him raging because he sat on a wasp, and then they brought the bull to the bull ring. I don't know. Everybody said they knew this. Why am I telling the whole story? Anyways,
listeners might not.
He gets in the or viewers on Facebook Live. Thank you to
Those
you
two people did.
and your friend who's strapped to a gurney. But they get him in the bull ring, and he doesn't do anything until finally. I think, did he end up getting enraged, or maybe he just the bullfighters got enraged. Anyway, I think
Sounds
Tad's
like you don't
challenge.
know the story.
I fell asleep before the end. I think Tad's challenge is to turn Carlos and Sean into the Ferdinand that was spotted in the field being the most ferocious side of beef this side of Madrid. And I just want to know, will you stab them a little bit? Will you make them sit on thistles? Will you feed them double shot espresso? Or
That's a great question. We're so early on that we haven't really thought about it yet. But I think you're onto it, like what we want the show to be. I mean, or at least I feel this way. Detroit Free Press is very known for its sports coverage and for columnists like Sean, like Carlos, and we want obviously them to come at each other sometimes and talk about things with different takes. Have their own opinions that are going to make people stay and listen. We want a reason for people to listen, and I feel like that's one of them. Poke that bull.
Well, I like the show because it gives Sean a seat in the captain's chair, and he becomes more of a raconteur, whereas Carlos is the guy I expect to come, with the horns and the nostrils flaring, and I just want to see. I guess this is a way of me saying I want to see Sean stab Carlos a couple times.
Well, here's the thing: we're in this
Not
space.
fatally.
No, this is a good question for
Maybe
Mark.
just
Because
lacerate
Mark is the podcast professional here, right? You're the man.
Not really.
You've been in this scene for a long time.
I
Tad
try.
has a public news or public radio background, right? The Free Press is sort of the Free Press, and then we're here at the Red Shovel Network, which is a little bit what you're talking about, Mike. You want some, not fisticuffs, but you want some sparks. Charlie LaDuff's here, for goodness sakes, right? So we're kind of in that middle ground. Which way should we lean, Mark?
What do you mean?
Towards the Shovel Network and standing up in rage and eyes bulging, or to the public radio where Tad's background?
Well, Carlos should be Carlos, man. What he writes is how he should be on the show. Just that simple.
You think
Give his
so?
takes.
Do we need to tell him
who cares if it's polarizing?
Can we have a therapy session with Carlos here maybe sometime? I know.
I'll poke him.
Yeah, you'll poke him.
I have no brother. That's just what you need to do.
Okay. Yeah.
I saw this
I
past.
want angry Sean.
There's no such thing as it. What was the last time you got mad at something?
Oh, probably at home.
He was pissed
at your hamstrings.
Once in a blue moon with my kids,
I can't picture
Still?
you mad.
No, it's been a couple of years, I'm sure. Yeah.
Really? Okay, if you're driving down the street, do you ever just go, God damn it, about like somebody cutting you off or anything?
No, because I try. Well, sometimes
That's
I
so
do.
weird to me.
No.
I mean, I don't get angry at anything either, but I get.
Sometimes I get, and then I try to remember, I don't want to get into David Foster Wallace. Do you guys remember he wrote Infinite Jest?
Sure, I don't want you to get into that either. Isn't that
Committed
book like
suicide.
7,000 pages?
Look.
Took me a
Killed
decade to read.
himself?
No. But here's the thing. He gave a speech at a
Water?
water speech.
I know it well.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know it well. Yeah. It was
So he gave a
commencement.
speech at a graduation at a university somewhere. At one point, he was talking about being on the road, this very thing, and people cutting you off, and trying to think for a second about where they're coming from.
Sure.
What their are they coming from the oncologist's office? Are they coming from just burying their mother? Right.
It's about empathy and realizing
and understanding that other people are out there, in their own space.
sometimes superficial anger can be good.
No, I agree. And sometimes people.
I don't think you have. Does he have superficial anger, ML?
He seemed to be pretty mad at those weeds the other day. How darest thou invade mine realm?
I get frustrated
Be gone,
sometimes
thou
on the road.
dandelion!
Sure, I get frustrated on the road sometimes.
I wish it
but,
was like Game of Thrones with old men.
who doesn't get frustrated on the road? But
Okay. I just don't picture.
But I
you doing
try to remember, that
it?
folks are,
Don't
I don't
you
know.
have any superficial hate, or I know you don't like hate, dislike in the world of sports. I just you can't find anybody.
Well,
Who do you root against? Do you ever root against anybody?
Tad, you got your work cut out for you, brother.
Yeah, no. I actually get more frustrated with people in my business who are out there offering up bullshit. You know what I mean?
I know that's what you get mad at. You also get mad at, I know there are some things there. I think it does have to do with what your job is.
Yeah.
I think lack of resources within the job you get very upset with. And
In what way?
Well, just that people might not understand that, hey, there's not as many copy editors anymore regarding stories. And so do you think more errors are made now because of things like that? We talked about it
I
off
think the
air.
same amount of errors are there. It's just that fewer are caught.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I've always made errors.
But I knew that upset
I
me.
had the story. I wrote a column about Michigan college football return. I went to Michigan State at Northwestern, and then Western Michigan, and I had the score wrong. And a guy emailed me this morning and said, I know you're part of the mainstream news and it's all fake media, but Jesus Christ.
You had 48 instead of 47.
I did. So I went back and I
noticed
thought,
it
shit,
too.
thank you. So I immediately changed. The one nice thing about, you can't change it in print, but the one nice thing is you can immediately go in and fix it. So I did.
Yeah.
And hit the republish and got that fixed.
Wait, when was that? Because I noticed it this morning.
Oh, you know what? It was in the Harbaugh column.
Yeah.
It was. It was in the Harbaugh column. So I fixed it this morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, that's
But that's the
a
kind
good
of silly stuff that is falling through the cracks because.
Yeah, I don't get angry at that because it's my mistake.
Okay.
I mean, I get frustrated that I make the mistake.
That's
but
why
it's-
there's layers of protection. The copy editors.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get that.
Sorry, are you mad we went down? Do you hate me for going down this road?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I mean, what do you get mad at, Tad?
I'm like you. I'm very similar. I mean, I can say like, not a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, but
that's great.
that's why I think Sean and I really have worked together well so far because we are very similar in the ways where it's like, have a handle on what's happening or what's the reason to really get upset,
No, it's funny because my strongest takes tend to be getting frustrated with other people for strong takes or for what I feel like are narrow views or just idiocy. You know what I mean?
You pay too much attention to nuance.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Are you still with us, Emma?
That's when I get most frustrated. Yeah, sorry, Mike.
So
he was taking out his earring.
I just lapsed into a
Yeah,
coma.
you never did answer that.
I just switched over to the Matt Charbonneau and Wojo podcast. That's some good listening.
So what you're saying, Mark, is that nuance doesn't sell? Is that why
Nuance
Mark's
doesn't
is
exist
that why
anymore,
Mark's
no.
Mike's so
not.
popular?
No, of course it doesn't. But that's all right. You got to sell.
I thought it was pronounced nounce. Nuance. Okay. Anyways,
that note.
let me transition to some really good news. Our friends at the Caju Cafe,
Yes.
who had Muscle Beach Music Festival, drew close to 1,000 people who visited the Caju Cafe during 5 days. They had 21 bands, over 30 hours of music, and over 400 pounds of mussels got scarfed down by these ravenous music fans. The Caju Cafe is closed on Tuesday, that's today, for a few kitchen upgrades, but they will be back tomorrow. That's Wednesday. Carryouts are available every day, as well as delivery via DoorDash and Uber. So if you love live music, there's live music almost every night at the Caju Cafe. If you like good beer, if you like sitting outside and enjoying what's left of the summer and the fall, it's coming up. Muscle Beach and the Beer Garden are outstanding. If you want to get in out of the heat, they have a very comfy, cozy, and cool dining room. Great bar, great staff. And if you've never been feather bowling, you need to book the lanes at the Caju Cafe because it's one of the few places in the world where you can feather bowl. What's feather bowling, you ask?
What's feather bowling?
Oh, That was you that asked?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
sorry.
just asked it.
What's feather bowling, Mark
question.
asked? Well, you're just going to have to go and find out for yourself, my friend. To find out more, go to CajuCafe.com. Great place. You might even see me there when I get back off the street from knocking on doors, because I do like to have me a nice cold beer on Muscle Beach.
So Muscle Beach was this past weekend. Arts Pizza and Eats went on, and of course the 2 football games, which Sean, you wrote about. Is it weird? You've been going to a few events, but did you find it weird going to these packed games now? Is it awkward?
You know, I don't know about that, but Michigan Stadium had 109,000 people with basically some people had masks on, I think. But there was no.
I was there. I didn't really see any masks.
Yeah, there were very few, right?
Yeah, except for inside.
And you
club
assume that probably half that crowd is vaccinated, give or take.
I would think more than that. I thought you had to be vaccinated to be a student on the U of M campus now.
Well, yeah, but that's a small section, and U of M draws. I mean, they're different parts of that demographic, right?
I would say half. I would say half is a fair assessment.
I think so. I mean,
maybe a little more, maybe 60, whatever. But yeah.
You want me to be mean? There are a lot of Walmart Wolverines that go to those games, right?
Yeah,
and they're not going to be
okay.
vaccinated.
They're fans. Who cares? Why? What do you mean? What does that mean?
They might be vaccinated.
Yeah, they might. They could be. They could be.
I think. Look, when you have 109,000,
trying to give you a little something.
Just saying, when you have 109,000 people, I think the numbers of who's vaccinated and who's not will probably reflect overall the general population of the area, right? So I would assume it would be similar to what the state is at. No?
Yeah, but I think
it's a large
Mike,
number of people.
It's not Ann Arbor's demographic that's in that stadium. That's my point.
Sure, no, but it's
Michigan.
It's the state of Michigan.
It's
I
the
would
state of
assume,
Michigan.
or, southeast Michigan or southern.
There are some people who go to those games who have never had chai tea. I think that's safe to say.
Oh, I think you're right.
Have you?
I may have sipped some by mistake.
The few lefty,
you drink it all the time. I know. I knew you did too, because I've seen.
They call me the chai guy. No, I'm a green tea dude.
He's the worst kind of lefty that way. But the far lefty progressives that are left in Ann Arbor, they don't like. They don't care about football.
It's a offensive ground acquisition
exactly.
game.
They did.
Robert Downey Jr.
They
said.
hated Bo Schembechler. You know what I mean? They're not going to go to those games, right?
Yeah, I still remember Bo Schembechler walking out of Chrysler Arena at halftime when then State Senator Perry Bullard came on and told the crowd about how he was working to help legalize marijuana. And right in the middle of the speech, Schembechler just beelined right off of the court. And Bullard was like, okay, I'm here to introduce, where'd he go?
Maybe he wanted to go get high.
Mark, to quickly
remember Schembechler, I think, cut B.J. Dickey because he lived in an apartment where some guys had some weed. So, I mean, yeah, Bo Schembechler.
What year was that?
This would have been in the
remember that
late
at all.
70s. I mean, at one time I was attended a lot of Michigan games, which is why I know what barf bags the fans are.
So I went to the game on Saturday, and being inside the stadium I just let it lie.
He's asking
and move on.
You're not one of the barf bag fans. You're clear.
I don't care how you view me or us.
No, I don't think you're a barf bag fan. I think you defend your. I've been to too many Michigan games where they fall behind by one. Until they fall behind by 1 point. We're the greatest school ever. We're the best ever. We fall by 1 point, behind by 1 point. Say, this team sucks. The coach is terrible. These players need to be cut. They probably couldn't even get in here on academics. I hate these guys. Blah, 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 blah. Surrender, Cobra.
You know what, by the way, I don't want to boost
you're not
what
like
he's
that.
saying about
Sorry,
Michigan.
I was trying to pay you a compliment.
But the Free Press has hired a new beat writer to cover University of Michigan football and basketball, Michael Cohen. Really, really good. And he was in the press box for the first time the other day. It was his first experience.
What happened on Ryan Sang?
He's looking at the scoreboard, and what comes up there and he was just really struck by it. The university saying this is the greatest university in the country.
Yeah, that's the
in the
video.
world.
That's
Don't they do a whole thing where they say in the universe?
He was just struck by that because we were talking about the Michigan State rivalry, and I said comparing it to Alabama Auburn because we have another staff writer who was familiar with that rivalry. I'm like, no, it's not the same. Alabama may win more a lot than Auburn, but with Michigan, it's different. It has nothing to do with sports. It's them thinking they're the best in everything, in every walk of life.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
So folks like Mike walk around with a massive chip on their shoulder.
You know what that's about?
And very little muscle in a calf.
I really think that's James Earl Jones who does the voiceover for that. I think he's speaking to a certain audience, meaning the people in that building.
Well, at least James Earl Jones went to Michigan, right? He went to University of Michigan.
By the way, Jim Harbaugh was in blue pants on the sideline and not khakis. Are we making anything of that?
No, not at all.
No.
Okay. Because I keep hearing from readers about it.
I think he had blue
It's
pants.
okay.
last-
I'm waiting for
That's-
him. I'm waiting for him to blue the game when there's 11
good one.
seconds left.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was
So anyway,
sort of okay.
But what I was going to say, so going to the game, it was weird before. Did you walk around? Because your column mentioned tailgating.
I
and
did.
whatnot.
I walked around some. I didn't get there till close to halftime because I was flying back from Chicago
Okay.
that morning, and I was up
It
all night
seemed
at Northwestern.
Oddly quiet and kind of dead. And I'm like, is this because it's Western? Is this because it's game one? I wouldn't have been surprised if there was like 85,000 people in the stadium. But then you get in there and it totally felt normal again.
I actually thought there
So
was
I don't know what that was.
decent buzz, but your experience is different. I had just spent a year at empty stadiums.
Sure.
So from my eyes, I'm coming to. It sounded fabulous, right? Mm-hmm. You're comparing it to, before the pandemic. I'm comparing it
Well, no,
to
I thought it felt
pandemic.
I thought it felt exactly like it did in 2019. I just before the game, before going in the gates, it really seemed like that energy was gone, or there just weren't as many people around tailgating.
A little bit, but I also felt people were clearly happy to be back.
God,
and,
yeah. Well,
and
plus
that's what, and I felt that at Northwestern too, which is no great football program,
Sure.
historically, right? And I mean, a
I-
private school right on the lake. By the way,
I
my
left something
goodness.
out from Inez Knight's back in 1921 birthday program. It says back in 1921, Wolverine football was good.
I knew that. I thought you were going to say won their last
1921.
Big Ten title or something like that.
That was such a strong joke. We're moving on.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
It's going to be a long football season with him around.
We'll see. We'll see. Unfortunately,
I mean, you being him.
the Michigan State game is the Saturday before the election, so I will not be able to go to East Lansing to see all that Wolverine blood spilled in Spartan Stadium, to see those defenseless, extinct badger-like creatures, except badgers are fierce, get clotheslined by the mighty Spartans as
They
do
haven't
their-
won up there. They haven't won at home in a while in the rivalry, so be careful.
That's because I won't be there.
Okay.
You may have seen the depth
that's right.
chart.
You're the key.
There's Russo, Thorne, Elric. Very mobile quarterback. I'm a big RPO guy.
By the way, we just forgot about Tad. That's very rude of us. Did we want to say goodbye to him or not goodbye?
Yeah,
He's
no.
part of the show.
We want him to stay here, but
Yeah,
okay.
you're not
Yeah,
allowed to leave,
no,
Ted.
so-
Don't
so-
even try.
He's too far in now.
Yeah,
You're invested.
What about some of that other stuff you and I did together, Tad? Tell the people.
I was just enjoying the show again. I thought I was done. I thought,
Well, I know, Ted. Do you like to eat? Do you like to barbecue?
wow.
Do you like to barbecue?
Oh,
Or are you vegetarian?
prime meats.
Do you have a
I'm a
butcher?
meat guy. My fiance, she's a vegetarian, so I don't. I've been
who cares
slowing
about
down
her?
on the
Who
meat.
cooks? Who cooks?
Can somebody set me up?
I do.
Someone
And
set
so
me
you
up?
make steak, and
Yeah.
you like burgers. You grind your own meat.
No,
Well, the butchery will
I
do it
got
for
a guy
you.
for you.
Hey,
Thank you.
there's Sean.
There
There
it
he brings it back.
I'm like a millennial Generation Z, grounding my own meat. Are you kidding
Well,
me?
that's what the butchery's for. They will grind all sorts of grade A meats for you. How about
the
that?
marbling.
Yeah, check them out
Marbling.
online.
Dry aged.
The Butchery SL, because they're in Sylvan Lake. TheButcherySL.com. They are, David Hubbard and his wife Julie. They are a husband and wife team. And honestly, not because they're a sponsor, but it is some of the best meat. The roast beef is just superb. But check them out online. And if you're looking for a job, now that the federal unemployment's over, maybe some people are going to head back to work. They are hiring right now, and they do need some help. So once again, TheButcherySL.com. Check them out. Get all your meats and eats and treats there.
It's a great place to work because not only do you have the Hubbard family that you're working with, it is a very cool market. They have a lot of really distinctive products, very, very reasonably priced for a high-end spot, and great desserts made by Chef Julie. And we should also tell you that they are the sponsor of our name, image,
right.
and likeness athlete, Kalina Nice, who is up at Michigan State beginning the rowing season, and we should have her back with us soon to give us an update on the rowing team. So thank you for supporting our NIL athlete, Dave and Julie. And
go
folks,
eat there because it's good stuff, man.
they're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, I believe. But check out that website. That's a good way to get involved.
Yeah, TheButcherySL.com or call them 248-682-2697.
That's cows at the end, right? That's something cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay. Anyways, I think we were going to
Geek of the Week. Yeah, what do you got?
Who are you going to shit on this week?
And after last week, you told me you really liked it. You
Oh,
really
yeah, because it was a
venomous sea snake.
Wasn't a
that's
human
right.
being.
Venomous.
Yeah,
Well, this
exactly.
isn't either.
Speciesist.
This week, I am not picking on a human being.
Are you picking on me?
A hobbit.
Oh, okay.
This is Nicholas Gentili, a 37-year-old Italian pastry chef with a hobbit habit. First, he pretends to be a hobbit. That's a little weird.
What do you mean by that?
Like he dresses up like a hobbit.
People cosplay all the time. Why is that weird?
I imagine because that is weird.
It
Because
is
I
weird.
imagine
Dude,
he has
I'm with
no
you.
wonder Tad said we're all over 70 in
shorn
here.
toes.
There are a lot of people cosplaying around in your. Do your sons do it?
I don't know, and they're not
No,
going
they
to tell
don't.
me.
I feel like cosplaying is taken off. You don't like, or it maybe it's a bad audience for me asking this, but anyone on TikTok here? Are you guys TikTok guys?
Yeah,
Cosplay is
reluctantly.
You got
taken
to
off.
watch. Does that count?
Yeah,
So-
it's taken off for TikTok.
Could we, yeah, let this be a lesson.
We have
For
ML
what's
Soul
going on in the
Detroit
world
Clocks.
from our view is a very narrow view of it at this point.
Well, don't act like everybody.
All we do is ever talk about the Smiths.
but you're
I
acting
was
like
trying
everybody.
to talk about J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, please do, yes.
But I gotta know.
Carry on.
Tad is making it clear people are hopping around in bunny costumes. It's
normal.
I
okay.
don't think it's that common.
It's common. I'm calling it common.
Come on, Mark.
I've heard
Get
about
out of the suburbs.
furries. And that just troubles me.
Oh yeah, do
Just
furries
troubles
count?
me.
Oh, I'm counting furries for sure.
Oh, okay. Well,
Why
then,
would
yeah,
that trouble you?
everyone's involved.
Let people do what makes them happy, as long as it's all consensual. What's
Don't
the problem?
kink shame
Okay, but
anybody.
I don't want anybody having sex with a stuffed animal.
That's a kink
That's
shame.
their
How
business.
bad of you.
How's that any different from you hollowing out a potato?
It is their business, but I gotta tell you this much: it's weird.
Are you slurring the Irish now? The lonely Irish.
So tell me about this
yeah,
hobbit.
Back to Nico here. So you ask what's so weird about? Okay, so he pretends to be a hobbit. I guess that's not so weird. Thanks, Tad. Tad, I feel a little uncomfortable
you do
having you
anything-
sit this close to me with your baggins upon you. Then he bought some land.
That was a good one.
That might have been his best joke.
It
today.
was.
I'm sorry.
Of the
Okiani?
year, probably.
We had to sit through a bunch.
Ukianiko, where he and his wife started building their personal shire. And in August, with a group of friends and Lord of the Rings fans dressed as an elf, a dwarf, a hobbit, a sorcerer, and I guess there were some humans there, they walked more than 120 miles from Chieti to Naples, crossing mountains and rivers to throw the One Ring into the volcano crater of Mount Vesuvius. Some time ago, he said, with his Italian accent that I won't do because I don't want to mock him any more than I'm about to, I realized that books and films were no longer enough for me to satisfy my passion for the fantasy genre, and in particular for the Lord of the Rings saga, Gentili said. I was still reading about the lives of other people. I decided that I wanted to live my hobbit life to the fullest. And for that statement alone, Nicholas Gentili, you are a geek of the week. Although I almost picked the guy who said Michigan would go 9-3. I almost picked that guy. I have to tell you that.
Who said that?
I know he said it because now he wants
Sean
to talk.
Windsor said it.
Oh, you did?
Did I say 9-3?
Did he?
Once again, your words resonate. Even you don't remember it.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Before we enter the room, I want to tell you guys that investing is a long-term game, so don't overreact. You got to get somebody that you can trust, and we trust Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. We trust him because he provides rational financial advice. I'll tell you all about your equities, your bonds, what you want to do, all those things with numbers in it, like a 401k, 529. He knows what to do with it. Get advice, get a strategy. Call Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748.
Because he will make it all about you, my darling.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
So before we get to this week's guest in room 7609, I want to share a note that we got from Paul, who said, not sure if this is new wave enough for 7609, but how about Aztec Camera's Walk Out to Winter? Now, for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you may remember that Walk Out to Winter was one of the best selections in our Christmas music podcast that we had that aired, I think it was on December 29th. So we'll put a link to that show on our website. It was a great episode full of new wave Christmas music. And we've also played Aztec Camera before on the show because they are an outstanding Scottish new wave band led by, I believe, Roddy Frame. Maybe it's Roddy Frame. I'm not sure which part of Scotland he's from. By the way, Elric's a Scottish name. So
Sierra Lowe.
It's the same name as a little hamlet by Aberdeen.
I'm gonna try to sit like Tad here.
And it means
cross legs.
And it means where the deer are driven to be killed.
In order to sit like that, you need a no gut, right? I mean,
I know. It's like two shows going on at one time.
I just thought it was very important to somehow bring Aztec Camera back.
No, that's great, and you can speak and recognize the dialect of all parts of Scotland. Thank you.
So
awesome.
I got married there. Anyways, so Paul says, I'm a little too young to have appreciated obscure new wave the first time around, but your show has made a fan of me. Much obliged. And we believe that this selection by The Mission will only strengthen Paul's and your affection for one of the greatest musical genres ever. This is The Mission with Deliverance.
deliverance. Brother, sister, give me deliverance, deliver me, give me deliverance. Brother, sister, give me deliverance, deliver me.
Those last words were spoken by Tad Davis after the first recording of the Carlos and Sean podcast.
Did you write that down all by yourself?
Give me...
Jesus, way to bring in new fans with that slog.
Give me deliverance.
You want me to be opinionated and have a hot take?
Yes.
Deliver me.
My God, man.
Deliver me.
Tad and I went out to...
Brothers.
What's that?
Sisters. Deliver me.
Tad and I ran down to Chick-fil-A
Deliver me!
at Metro Airport while
What?
that song was playing.
Where'd you get the...
He wanted you to find a longer song.
The spicy chicken? Okay.
Most
You
new
like
wave
spice?
songs are not 6 minutes long, are they? Aren't most of them tight, little poppy? The glasses have come off.
here we go.
It's
So
time.
Professor Elric is gonna school us. in the language
He was taking notes the whole time too. I don't know
Let me-
what's going on.
No, he was trying to write that.
Let me
he's
get a
trying
fresh...
to write that joke about you. Ted.
Let me get a fresh piece of chalk.
How long you been
ready.
waiting to crack out that gem?
About 6 minutes.
So, if you heard the mission
And
and
30
you said to
seconds.
yourself, "This feels a little bit like the Sisters of Mercy," you would not be far off, because Wayne Hussey, who's the front man for the mission, started off in the Sisters of Mercy with Andrew Eldritch, and you may recall we've played a Sisters of Mercy song on this show last summer that went on for like 8.5 minutes, and that's nothing compared to what I think is their greatest oeuvre, which would be This Corruption, which is fantastic and can run 11 minutes. Anyways, Hussey and another cat left the band, making way.
Wait, what about my question?
Oh, what's that now? Sorry.
Are most new wave songs tight little 3.5 minute songs, or
Some of the poppier ones are, like some of the more danceable ones, but when you get into sort of the dark wave, sort of the gothier bands, they do become more like anthems.
Okay.
Or what Sean might ignorantly refer to
Droners?
as dirges.
Oh, dirges.
But yes, droners, dirges, they're both in the dictionary.
I prefer
under D.
slog.
But
Actually, I prefer torture, but go ahead.
oh wow, I thought that was a
Do
soothing
you have any cotton? I got blood coming out of my ears.
bit of music.
I like. There's Angry Sean. I knew.
There you
I
go.
knew it was in there
There you
somewhere.
go.
So anyway, after they left the Sisters of Mercy,
Yeah, please continue.
because this may surprise more or less ignorant people, but Andrew Eldridge, the front man for the Sisters of Mercy, very difficult to get along with. So Wayne Hussey and Craig Adams split, making way in the Sisters of Mercy for one of the most gorgeous bass players of all time, Patricia Morrison, a goth goddess if ever there was one. Second only to the goth woman that Sean used to date while going to scratch acid on stolen Japanese mini bikes back
You're
in his
conflating
Texas
lots
days.
of stuff, but that's okay. It sounds good.
I'm pulling together the pieces of your life to create an interesting mosaic. And let me tell you, sir, that's
Because
some heavy
it's
lifting.
boring. It's boring. I know.
Believe me, I've
It's
tried. I
boring.
put some hot sauce on it, and it still tastes like oatmeal.
You never owned a bottle of hot sauce in your life. I mean, you're Scottish, man. Come on.
I'm everything not Scottish is crap. Just so if you hadn't.
Oh,
known
you've
that
got
before.
nice rolling hills.
So great tracts of land.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
Actually, I think Drew is the
mutton's
big
not too
Great
bad.
Tracts of Land fan. So they started out calling themselves the Sisterhood.
No, seriously, really.
What's
You're
that?
getting back to that.
Yeah,
Wait,
we're
are we
getting
talking
back
about
to-
Sisters of Mercy? Or are we
No,
talking about the
no.
mission?
This is.
We're talking about Aztec
We're
Camera.
trying to unravel the ball of yarn that big orange tabby known as Sean Windsor has been batting about here in our knittery.
And we want to take twice as long as the song took to do it.
The interruptions do tend to take us a little bit off of our rhythm. But so they formed a band called the Sisterhood, and Andrew Eldridge, being a bit of a dick, put out a single under the name The Sisterhood. And so they switched their name to The Mission. You may know them as The Mission UK, depending on which incarnation and which tour. But The Mission is a great band that has that sort of goth, but also new wave feel, and a very eclectic musical lineage. John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin produced one of their albums and also played keyboards at one point. And Andrew Partridge, the lead singer for XTC was also involved in producing some of their music. So
I
really liked them, but I guess
I
Sean
liked it. It was good.
So I guess one of the things that, and I'm not saying that Carlos and Sean are copying, but they are going to have a marching band segment each week on the show. So I can't wait not only to see which tunes you pick. I'm assuming is going to be a lot of pop music.
I
But
kind of want you guys to do that now. That's so ridiculous.
and what formations the two of you will get into. Who gets to dot the I?
I was just going to say, who gets to dot the I?
Who gets to play the big Purdue drum?
I don't know. It'll be up to Tad.
That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
Tad, it'll be
so
up to
dumb.
Tad.
I love it.
Tad doesn't
Hey.
love sports. I don't know if he likes music.
we're very much looking
In fact,
forward.
we got to figure out what Tad likes. That'll be maybe that should be a good.
Well, there's your
segment.
segment. Yeah. What
we
does
go.
Tad like?
What does Tad like?
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Besides soccer.
This has been just a how do we make our show better conversation, pretty much.
TikTok,
Yeah.
not Ronaldo,
Yeah,
and Hobbits.
I'm thankful for Mike for letting us, do this here.
We're just brainstorming here.
Yeah.
He's undecided on Hobbits. That's coming up on a future episode of the Carlos and Sean
Why
podcast.
is it Carlos and Sean? Did you not fight to have your name first?
No, it's okay.
It doesn't sound like you.
Sean
It's
deferred.
all right.
This is
I
the
know,
funny thing.
it's just probably the way it sounds. What's funny? You going to make it funny?
No, I'm just saying,
No, he won't, but he'll
you,
try.
you
He's gonna
see
make a
kind of
poop.
feisty Sean here. You see more collegial Sean on the Free Press podcast. But some of the outtakes Tad was telling me about where Sean is telling him, like, don't make eye contact with me, and I won't be in the same room with another person. And it's really,
I want these out. What, can we just review the show and outtakes every week on this show?
there's another Sean, and it's dark.
I know. That's what I was trying to get at earlier.
It's
That's funny.
It's dark and dark and troubling, and
Oh,
all
that's
that.
funny.
Nothing sounds-
all that guilt comes out, but it comes out in a rage.
Oh, it's great.
No, I don't really have much rage into it. But hey, before we completely lose this show,
Yes, it's long gone.
I know. Can we just take 2 seconds because we call ourselves the Soul of Detroit, right? We got to mention Greg Mudge
Oh yeah,
of Mudge's Deli,
yeah.
who worked who was a server when it was McNally's Deli.
Yep.
And I can remember he would come and he would
surly.
He was back then, right?
The whole shtick where he was the
sarcastic,
unpleasant waiter.
and he would actually sit down with you. I don't remember if he put his feet up on the table, but I remember because when we all worked downtown every day, we a group of us would go over there all the time. It was great. And then he had the opportunity to buy it, and he kind of got older and really made that into a special place. And he died a few days ago, I think, right?
At 46.
At 46, which was just crazy. But he had turned that place into really something in a kind of a hub in Corktown, and it's really sort of tragic what happened. But yeah,
When he also became an incredibly friendly and gracious host, which I thought was weird because I never really liked surly waiter guy. But when he was the patron, he was really a welcoming presence.
Well, he went from his 20s to his 40s, like a lot of us, and a lot of us changed.
Wow.
I mean, you've yet to make that leap.
And he became his own boss.
But exactly. But
Yeah, I think every
It'll
customer
cheer
he
you up.
pissed off became $1 out of his own pocket. So he's like,
Exactly. Yeah, there's that.
welcome, friends.
But what he did and what he built and how he evolved and changed is worthy of a respect, I think. And
Oh yeah, no, and F. McNally's and Mudgie's was they were kind of at the forefront of the revival in Corktown.
they were, because when we used to go to McNally's, that was pretty quiet. Let's just say.
That's because everybody was upset at paying $10 for a sandwich.
Well, not
But
everybody.
it was 2 meals worth.
For those
food.
of us that were used to $20 at Zingerman's, Mudgie's felt like a steal.
Yeah, and that's why Ann Arbor doesn't suck. Yeah, sorry.
But anyway, so I just want to mention him real quick, and then also the great Michael K. Williams, who died yesterday. Star of The Wire, sneaky
Omar
Little on The Wire, and then Chalky White, and as Mark would say, one of the more underrated shows the last 20 years in Boardwalk Empire.
Phenomenal.
But anything he was in, he had this sort of pain and humanity, and you could hear the history of our country. I always thought in his voice, in a way. Yeah,
Wow.
he was really something.
I thought he was just an actor.
I thought he just pretended to be other people.
Yeah, there was something there. That's why people have been reacting the way they have been the last couple of days.
Really good.
So.
Cool. Any other death you want to talk about?
No, I just want to pay some respects, to a Detroiter and somebody that.
I know. I'm just
kidding. But anyway, sorry, Mike. I didn't mean it to bring any substance to the show.
You got feedback?
Accidentally.
Well, thank you for your consistency. Anyway, yes, I want to talk about donating to the show. Paul, who asked about Aztec Camera, was a very generous donor, so we want to thank Paul, and we want to encourage anyone
Paul.
who would like to donate to the show.
We made you listen to that shit.
To Mark, since
Aztec
you're the
Camera.
only person that Sean will listen to, how do people donate to the show?
MLSoloDetroit.com. And a little donate button to click on.
Is it really
Takes you
that
to PayPal.
easy?
Oh my God! So I think everybody should try it out. It's just to see how easy it is.
Yeah, I don't think people believe you. They should probably find out for themselves. And don't make one of those like test 0.01 donations. See how easy it is to give like $100.
Why don't you just write the check to Mike?
In fact, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. The more you give, the easier it gets.
There's only one way to find out.
Well, exactly.
You know what? Furries give to.
Yes, they.
And they receive.
Cosplayers give to.
Okay, they give good paw. So we would appreciate if you would not listen to the last 30 seconds of the show. If you could just take that out of your memory. But if you want to subscribe to the show, that really helps us out. If you'd like to share the show, that's even better. Rate the show, and of course, love the show. But I just heard the other day that Drew either has surpassed me or is about to surpass me on Facebook.
That's right, yeah.
So I'm hoping that folks will follow me on Facebook at ML and on Twitter at Elrick, Elick. Once again, it's a Scottish name from Aberdeenshire.
Even if it's just to spite other people.
It's just, listen, this Drew guy, once upon a time, he was kind of a big deal on the radio, but now he's in my world, this podcasting world.
Yeah, sure.
And if he thinks he's going to pass the king, let's teach him a little something, okay? That's another famous Andrew. Let's check him on that real hard.
There's your feedback music.
Oh, yes.
I love this.
Max
Yeah.
Procop. What do we call this?
We call this hopefully the new room 7609.
We don't call it anything. He called it Buzz Me Mellow.
Yeah, and I think I call it
It's our feedback music.
Sweet ass.
Do we have any
Bruce.
feedback?
We do. Bill, a.k.a. Keeper242, which reminds me of Front 242, which would be a great selection for a dark wave afternoon in room 7609. Anyway, Bill says, I know there are at least 2 Sheffield Wednesday supporters in the Metro Detroit area. My uncle and I have followed the club since the early 90s during the period when Trevor Francis, you may remember him from the Detroit Express, managed the club, and John Harkes played for them while beating those effers in red from Manchester, meaning the Red Devils, Manchester United at Wembley.
Yuck.
I appreciate the shout out on the show, and if you have not seen it, SWFC, which I believe is
Sheffield Wednesday Football Club,
also got their Ted Lasso shout out in season 2, episode 5. Thanks again.
That's right.
Love the show, and another FYI would be that Arctic Monkeys are Wednesday supporters as well.
Great band.
Wayne Hussey, by the way, big Liverpool fan. Good luck in the election, and keep up the great work. If you're looking for a great Liverpool bar, by the way, Thomas McGee's in Eastern Market has a huge buffet every Sunday for Liverpool games, and also a good place to tailgate if you're a Lions fan. Tamara asks, unsure if you ever listened to Bankley Thompson on 9:10 a.m., but he's been pretty hilarious about Spivey and Benson. Spivey is Andre Spivey, the District 4 councilman, who I thought I would be running against, but he decided not to run for re-election. It turns out it's because he knew he was going to be acknowledging being involved in a bribery scheme. And Scott Benson is the District 3 councilman, who I've busted on many occasions, who has had his home raided by the feds as part of what appears to be another public corruption scandal brewing in City Hall. His chief of staff, who lives in my neighborhood, also had her home raided. Her name is Carol Banks, and my reporting on Carol Banks caused her to be fired by the Detroit Public School System, who found out that she was a double-dipping no-show employee. That. She denied it, and Benson, in fact, took her from being a part-time employee to a full-time employee. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out for those two. Tamara says that Bankley Thompson said one or the other of both. He's been saying, this brother would never make eye contact with me whenever I saw him around town, so I always knew he was shifty. So Bankley Thompson, a very clear-eyed and sensible columnist for the Detroit News, calls it like he sees it. Also has a program on 9:10 a.m. So Tamara, I had not heard that, but I can actually hear Bankley say that. It sounds very much like him, and I think we're about to find out that his BS detector is nearly as good as my own.
That was a lot more than what was in the rundown, so that was a nice job of ad-libbing.
So sometimes I get criticized for reading what's on the page. Other times I get criticized
You can't
for
win.
reading what's on the page.
Just stick to
Carlos.
Hobbits.
Carlos, my prayers with you, my friend. And I think after doing this show a couple times with Sean, Angry Carlos will be the first guy in the room. We will be yoking him back. So I was going to ask what Sean's up to, but he's got this podcast and he's going to football games and stuff like that. So let's talk a little bit more about me. I am continuing my campaign for Detroit City Council in District 4. We're hoping to bring honest change to Detroit politics, which, as you may have noticed, we need not more now than ever. If your home flooded, either in Detroit or Dearborn or any part of the metro area, please check out my petition at change.org. We have some solutions to the flooding that have plagued this region, and we could use your support by signing on. Just search for Stop Detroit Flooding. You'll see our call for backflow preventers and sump pumps for our homes and some green infrastructure, bioswales, rain gardens, basically using our vacant land as a green solution and a much cheaper solution to the flooding that our engineers and that our public officials just seem completely and utterly unable to staunch on their own. Although
go ahead, yeah.
No, please.
I was going to say, regarding the flooding, there was another email that came in from Estelle and Herb that said they were curious if you have seen in your district houses for sale because of, the flooding, the power outages, are people trying to move, because they had an anecdotal story, somebody they knew who's like, I'm just out of here. Have you noticed any kind of uptick in that? Is that enough to get people to maybe move to either away from the city or to another part of the city?
Yeah, so I've knocked on, it's got to be close to 2,000 doors now, and I know people are very frustrated, but, if you've been a Detroiter for any length of time, you put up with so much malarkey that you're pretty tough. And knocking on doors in Jefferson Chalmers, I've met a lot of people who had 5 feet of water in their basement, and this is the 4th or 5th time it's flooded in their house. Never quite this bad, but bad enough to ruin their furnaces, their hot water heaters, their washers and dryers previously.
If they have the ability to, are they thinking about moving?
No, real estate down there. Real estate in the city of Detroit is going through the roof. And if you can get close to the water, boy, oh boy, if you wanted to sell, this is the time to cash in. But no, people are hanging tough. They are continuing.
That almost normalizes it then. Like, oh, yeah, just one more thing that sucks.
These folks are hot as a pistol. They are ready for something to happen. And that's why I keep going to the board meetings for Detroit Water and Sewerage and Great Lakes Water Authority and letting them know that we are not going to take this anymore and that there are solutions to our problems, and it's time for some action. And if you go to that petition, you'll see we have something like 900 signatures. So people really are speaking out, and this is all about finding solutions to the problems that are plaguing Detroiters so that we can keep people in the city of Detroit and so that we can make the city better together. And when it comes to easy giving, as easy as it is to donate to this podcast at mlsoulofdetroit.com, it's even easier to donate at ml4detroit.com. That's ml4detroit.com. Those contributions keep this campaign going and help us print more cool T-shirts and have great events and, frankly, help people, because we have a project we're going to be talking about soon in Eden Gardens where we are helping a woman who has created both a community garden and a neighborhood playground out of vacant lots. She's turning a demo home, a home that was abandoned and was set to be demolished. She's taken it off the demo list. It's a 2-family home. It's a monster. And she is turning that into a community resource center. And we are helping her with the campaign and by using some strategic partnerships and bringing some new people in to provide both resources and muscle. If you are a contractor, if you are a building supply person and you have some material that you would like to make available that you're willing to share with us, we need toilets, we need gutters, we need drywall, we need pretty much everything you would need to build a house. We will provide more details on that on an upcoming show, and we'll have a volunteer opportunity for folks on October 9th to come to one of the coolest neighborhoods in Detroit, a neighborhood that's really being brought back by the people in Detroit, and we hope some of you will come and join us for that. But if you want to know more about that, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at ML4Detroit as our social media handle. And you can always find out about this on our website, ML4Detroit.com. Tad, thank you for asking about that.
Of course.
Another powerful collaboration.
I have a question for you.
Oh.
How hot is a pistol?
If it's recently been fired, hot enough to make your skin singe and burn and become sealed onto the barrel. Do you ever read Johnny Tremaine?
No.
Okay. That's your assignment for next week. And what are you up to, Sean? I know we talked a lot about
Listening to you.
recent failures, but how are you going to redeem yourself?
Listening to you.
Oh.
Learning from you.
More time misspent. Sean will be in the Free Press. You can find him at freep.com. You can buy it at the newsstands. Better yet, subscribe. It's really cheap, and it helps keep great journalism going. And those great journalists tolerate Sean. So that's pretty cool. They're nice people, obviously.
They are.
And very,
I'm very
forgiving.
fortunate.
Yes, they're kind people.
Yeah.
Mark, how do we do at Art Beats and Eat? Did people come forth with their Soul of Detroit love? Was it embarrassing, the affection that poured forth?
Well, I wouldn't say it was embarrassing. No,
Oh,
it was great. It was a good time. Good time had by all.
Did you meet?
You should
any
have come out.
Cool people. I was
Met a lot
knocking
of
on
people.
doors. I was campaigning.
Okay.
In fact, on Sunday,
No.
after meeting Inez Knight
No.
again, on Monday, Labor Day,
No.
a day of rest for so many other people,
We're so close, Sean.
I met Johnny Green,
I know,
an
it's just-
89-year-old gentleman in Jefferson Chalmers who has put together a book.
It's like the last person in a marathon, right?
famous-
You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Famous people
10
of
hours
color
later.
from the city of Detroit, and he is a huge
Meanwhile, you just want a Rosie Ruiz.
Ralph Bunch fan,
Just get to the end.
and he
At
has
the very beginning. What?
He has
I'm
made
sorry.
it his life's calling to raise the profile of people of color who have won the Nobel Prize, including Ralph Bunch,
How did we get
who
here?
is Detroit's own.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a good thing.
It does.
I don't know how we got
to
there,
bring it
but-
full circle with Sean, he also passed on.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Ralph Bunch, not Johnny Green. Johnny Green going strong at 89.
Okay.
All right. On that note,
I think this is where we say, Tad, take us out.
That's the show.
But we're not. This is a union shop, so we got to keep the work within its jurisdiction. So I turn to Cyrus and say, Cyrus, take us out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You have been listening to The New Adventures of
The Soul of Detroit.
starring
ML Elric.